Market is off the day's low, led by recovery in heavyweights like Infosys and some of the auto names. The mid-caps underperformed today. Infosys and HCL Technologies report better than expected earnings, but one-off boosts and macro concerns cloud the outlook for FY24. L&T Tech slips as analysts remain iffy on the benefits of its acquisition of parent L&T's next-gen communications biz, but MCX gains on hopes of a volume boost from new contracts. Central bank purchases at their highest level since 1967 and dollar weakness prop up gold prices that flirt with the $19,000 per ounce mark. Several experts see the yellow metal headed to over $2,000 an ounce. December CPI comes in lower than expected and raises hopes of a pause from the RBI in the February monetary policy. November industrial output growing by 7.1% reduces fears of a deep consumption slowdown in Q3. Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome to Business Lunch. I'm Pavitra Parekh. Those are the top headlines that we're looking at this afternoon. Volatility remains the order of the day. We're well in the green now. We have been trading in a range for this entire week, but at least for now, you're seeing around an 80-point uptake on the Nifty. So there's been a significant recovery from the day's low that we have seen, and this is led by some of the IT names and some of the auto names as well. Infosys has seen a big move up. It's currently the top gainer on the Nifty with a move of over 2%. You have some from the auto pack, the likes of Aisha, something like a Hero Motor, all which have moved to the high point of the day. So do keep that entire space on your radar. But you know, IT is very mixed. So while Infosys has moved up, TCS also at the high point of the day. You still have HCL Tech and Wipro under pressure. Tech Mahindra also in the red. So that's what's going on with IT. Some of the mid-cap IT names is where you're seeing quite a cut come through. So LTI, Mindtree, by the way, so that one is down significantly. You have L&T Tech, which is down 5.5%. Emphasis. These are some of the names which are seeing some cuts, although there has been a recovery in all of these. Reliance continues to grind lower this week, so do keep that one on your radar. What's really holding up, in addition to the names that I mentioned, are some from the metals pack. So those will be up on your screen as well. So that's what's really happening with the market setup. But let's now get into it and talk about the individual stories that we are tracking. Infosys, of course, is in focus after it reported its third quarter earnings. Numbers beat estimates, and the tech giant has also revised its full-year revenue growth guidance upwards and maintained its outlook on the margin front. In fact, the deal pipeline also looks quite healthy at over $3 billion. So my colleague Ritu spoke exclusively to Salil Parekh, who's CEO of Infosys. Let's listen in to that conversation.
So on the guidance, we've had a very strong large deals win for Q3, and we've had very strong growth in the quarter, 13.7%. Keeping those factors in mind, and also looking at the points where some of our industries we are seeing a different economic environment. For example, in financial services, in mortgages or investment banking, in telco, in high-tech, retail, so on. Keeping all of those factors in mind, we've increased the guidance. Specifically on Q4, we don't provide a quarterly view of that. We only have an annual guidance.
That's right, but the implication is because you revised up the guidance for the rest of the year, will we see a bit of a muted growth? And also, if you could comment on, the EBIT margin, you expect to be at the lower end of what you guided?
On the Q4, so first, with the change in the guidance, typically Q3 and Q4 are seasonally weak quarters for Infosys in any case. So those factors still continue. On the margin, we had a very good operating margin in Q3 at 21.5. We've kept the guidance, which was narrowed to 21 to 22. We've kept it at that level, and we've also I made the statement in the comments earlier. It'll be at the lower end of the guidance.
Okay, that is the management of Infosys. But the other one to post earnings was HCL Tech. It is off the morning lows, but still in the red despite earnings beating estimates in the third quarter. Earlier today, we actually had the chance to speak with the management of HCL Tech to understand what growth could really look like for the company. So let's listen into that.
From next financial year, we see a strong uptick in the retail CPG segment. And that's also enabled by the new bookings, which is a couple of deals that we announced. We announced ODP, we announced Mattel, both are in the retail CPG segment. Both of them will give us good headwinds good tailwinds in the Q1 of next year.
There is no deal cancellation for sure. Even I don't think we said that there is a slowdown in deal making. We said, deal wins continue to be decent, and that's what we announced yesterday. $2.35 billion is a very good number for us. And you're absolutely right. We have been in that narrow band of $2.5 billion every quarter on the trot for at least the last 5-6 quarters. So I would not say deals have slowed down. Yes, there are some. I mean, Europe is one geography we talked about, but at an overall level, we are not seeing a slowdown.
Okay, that is the word coming in from HCL Tech, and this week has really belonged to IT in terms of earnings. We also have Wipro later in the day, but after that, focus will shift to the banking pack because the banking earnings kickstart. HDFC Bank will be first to go, and it is posting its third quarter results tomorrow. Abhishek is joining us to line us up with all of the expectations. Abhishek?
Well, Pavitra, as you mentioned, a banking major, that is HDFC Bank, will be reporting its numbers tomorrow. Now, our poll suggests that the NII growth, that could be really on the stronger side, best in 14 quarters. And for the first time on a YOY basis, in the last 14 quarters, it could be north of 20% plus. So they have already given a business update wherein the loan growth has been disappointing. Deposit momentum was healthy, 20% YOY and about 3.6% sequentially. The CASA growth on a sequential basis was on the lower side, so CASA ratio is at 8-quarter low of 44%. The loan growth YOY weakest in last 4 quarters, coming in at 19.5%, and sequentially it's the weakest in last 6 quarters, coming in at 1.8%. X of pool that they share with HDFC Limited, the loan growth was at 19.5% YOY and about 1.9% sequentially. The credit deposit ratio, that also disappoints given the fact that it's at 5-quarter low of 86.9%. But the banking sector has been seeing increase in their lending rates. So watch out for the net interest margin, which could expand both YOY and quarter-on-quarter. Slippages of formation of bad loans in a quarter, as per Phillip Capital, is estimated as 6,000 crore, which works with 5,700 crore that they reported in the previous quarter. Kotak Securities estimates operating profit growth of 13.5% YOY and about 9.5% sequentially. Watch out for the cost to income ratio because bank has been expanding their branches as well. Asset quality will remain stable or improve. ICICI Securities estimates a 3 to 4 basis point improvement in gross NPA ratio and about 3 to 4 basis point improvement in net NPA ratio. Our poll suggests NII growth of 20.9% YOY and about 6.1% sequentially, which means that the net interest margin could improve both YOY and quarter-on-quarter. We are working with a profit growth of more than 17% YOY and about 14.2% sequentially. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks a lot for taking us through all of those expectations. This is the big one to watch out for this weekend, that is HDFC Bank on Saturday. Welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch. The market continues to move higher. It's now an over 100-point gain that we are seeing on the Nifty. But let's bring you some important stories as well. And this is the latest in the Jet Airways saga. The NCLT has allowed transfer of the company's ownership to the Jalan Kalrock Consortium. Ritu is here with all of the details on this one. Ritu?
That's right, Pavitra. The NCLT has just pronounced the verbal orders. Of course, the final copy is still awaited, but it has allowed the Jalan Kalrock Consortium's pleas, where it has allowed the transfer of ownership to the Jalan Kalrock Consortium, of course, with certain checks and measures in place. 16th of November has been set as the effective date. Now, the effective date means the date on which all the conditions required, to meet the resolution plan, check boxes would have been met by the 16th of November. And 180 days after that, Jalan Consortium will have to make the first tranche of payment of about 185 crores to lenders. So it gets that much more time to make these repayment to lenders. Also, in the court's hearing today, the lenders sought for a 2-week stay on the final orders from NCLT, but that was rejected, by the court. However, we've been given to understand from banking sources that lenders are going to appeal this decision of the NCLT in a higher court because they believe the Jalan Kalrock Consortium is trying to gain unnatural advantages by misinterpreting the conditions precedent which it has to meet as per the requirements of the plan, and that it is misdirecting the court by saying that it has met some of these conditions, and therefore they were opposed to the transfer of ownership control to the Jalan Kalrock Consortium. until all of these conditions were met and the payments are made. Of course, the transfer cannot happen unless all of these checkboxes, like I said, are really ticked off by Jalan Consortium. So now we'll await to hear what the lenders have to say, but a small victory for the JKC Consortium. It gets some more time to make payments to the creditors.
All right, Ritu, thanks a lot for getting us the latest on Jet Airways. But with that, let's shift focus to another exclusive. We learned from sources that vendors are likely to consider seeking advance payments from Voda Idea from this month onwards. Ashmit is here with all of the details. Ashmit, the bad news really continues for Vodafone Idea.
Indeed, the picture is quite grim as far as Vodafone Idea is concerned. Let's keep in mind that very recently we had the telecom minister give clarity that it's the promoters that need to take the first step, but need to pump in money, and only then will the government act on equity conversion. And then later, of course, we learned from earlier this month that even the banks are not too keen on extending any credit to Vodafone Idea. It is on the back of both these triggers, as well as the past payment history of Vodafone Idea, that the vendors are a little unhappy with the way the payments have been made in the past, and therefore are likely to approach Vodafone Idea to go ahead and to make advance payments for these vendor dues beginning January of 2023. Now, this is, of course, keeping in mind how a large amount of accumulated dues have in fact mounted up as of December 2022, and therefore January 2023 the vendors are looking to start afresh, are looking to in fact ask Vodafone Idea to pay afresh. In fact, as far as we understand, the likes of Industars, which is critical for Vodafone Idea operations, even there they are likely to in fact take as drastic measures, even go so far as to discontinue services if these advance payments are not made. In fact, that could very well be the subject matter of consideration in the Jan 24th Industar board meeting that is scheduled later this month. So again, trouble mounting here for Vodafone Idea, and of course, needless to mention, all of this comes on the back of falling subscriber base. In fact, there are some circles such as Himachal, Sikkim, JNK, Odisha, where the subscriber base has fallen to less than 20 lakhs. We saw that in the months of September and October combined. Just these 2 months alone saw 75 lakh subscribers exiting Vodafone Idea network. So clearly concerns here are mounting for Vodafone Idea, not just on the government front, but also on the vendor front as well. Back to you.
Oh, absolutely. The bad news just not stopping for Vodafone Idea. Ashma, thanks a lot for filling us in with all of those exclusive details. But with that, let's move on and put the spotlight on the banking sector now. A host of managing directors' terms are due to end this year, that is in 2023. Abhishek is at the big wall to take us through all of the details here. Abhishek.
Well, 2023 marks a big year for the banking sector when it comes to the lenders at various entities, given the fact that many could see a change in hand with respect to the leaders on board. So as many as 8 lenders to see their current managing director's term ending in 2023. For some of them, the board has given an extension, but the RBI approval is pending. So RBI could relax and extend terms of few current MDs as per the suitability. RBI has a ceiling in terms of age for the role of MD, CEO and whole-time director in banks, which is about 70 years. Also, RBI has put another rule that, a lender cannot have an MD beyond, 15 years of the same position. So if a person is MD and CEO of the bank for 15 years in a row, they have to leave. They cannot continue for the 16th year. Let's now focus on some of the lenders who may see a sign-off of their MD completely from the banking sector in 2023. One of them is Mr. Uday Kotak of Kotak Mahindra Bank, and the other is Mr. Mahabaleshwara MS of Karnataka Bank. Mr. Sanjay Agarwal will be completing his 15 years of tenure as the MD of AU Small Finance Bank. He was appointed as MD of AU Bank in February 2008. Now, some of the renewals for another term as MD of the bank from the board is pending with RBI, the likes of ICICI Bank. Currently, let's focus on the age of these MDs at the bank. So, Bank of Baroda's MD, Mr. Sanjeev Chadha, is about 58 years old. Bank of India's MD, Mr. Das, is about 58 years old. IndusInd Bank MD, Mr. Sumant Katpalia, is about 60 years old. The youngest in the list is Mr. Sanjay Agarwal of AU Small Finance Bank, who is 52 years old. Karnataka Bank's MD, Mr. Mahabaleshwara, is about 63 years old. ICICI Bank's Mr. Sandeep Bakshi is about 61-year-old, and SBI's MD, Mr. Dinesh Khara, is also 61-year-old. Kotak Mahindra Bank's Mr. Uday Kotak is about 63 years old. Back to you.
All right, Abhishek, thanks a lot for joining us and taking us through all of those details there. But let's now move on and bring you some important news from the centre. India is gearing up for the union budget, and the budget session of the parliament will start from the 31st of January and will continue until the 6th of April. Now, ahead of the budget, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is holding a high-level meeting with economists to gauge the situation and also take stock of the challenges ahead of the all-important budget. 19 economists, senior professors, as well as researchers are all part of that meeting. Okay, so that is an important piece of news that we had to bring you up to speed with. But let's now move on and talk about sports. Fans have been craving some nail-biting finishes and breathtaking goals ever since Messi lifted the FIFA World Cup last month. Now, the Men's Hockey World Cup is here to quench their thirst. The tournament is all set to begin today, with host India taking on Spain in the hopes of clinching an early lead in the group of death. News 18's Deepak Samal joins us from outside the Kalinga Stadium in Bhubaneswar. दीपक, आज से वर्ल्ड कप स्टार्ट होगा, इंडिया का पहला मैच स्पेन के साथ. बताइए कैसा माहौल बना हुआ है आज?
निश्चित अब हम अभी कलिंगा स्टेडियम है. पहले मैच अर्जेंटीना वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका, और पहले आपको दिखाएंगे कलिंगा स्टेडियम का तस्वीर. जो दर्शक है, दर्शक धीरे धीरे कलिंगा स्टेडियम से जाएंगे और कुछ बात करेंगे. सर, आज पहला मैच वर्ल्ड कप, हॉकी वर्ल्ड कप का कैसा लग रहा है, क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, एक्सीलेंट है. ओडिशा ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहा है और मिस्टर नवीन पटनायक का पूरा क्रेडिट जाएगा उनको. ये अभी देखने को आ रहा है, अच्छा लग रहा है बहुत.
फर्स्ट मैच अर्जेंटीना वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका, सेकंड मैच ऑस्ट्रेलिया वर्सेस स्पेन, एंड इंडिया का मैच शाम में राहुल का कैसे क्या
ना. अभी जो मैच है तो एक्सीलेंट मैच है, बट इंडिया इज इंडिया मैच देखने से मजा आएगा. तो है, देखना है, बट इंडिया मैच अच्छा है देखने में.
निहाती और कुछ बात करेंगे. सर, क्या कहना चाहेंगे, आज उड़ीसा में हॉकी वर्ल्ड कप हो रहा है, पहला मैच अर्जेंटीना वर्सेस दक्षिण अफ्रीका, इंडिया का मैच शाम में, कैसे टीम इंडिया को कैसे चेयरअप करेंगे?
वो तो बहुत चेयरअप करेंगे, जो 2 बार हुआ ना यहाँ पे, इसलिए तो बहुत हम खुश है, बहुत खुश है, मैं ज्यादा खुश है. उड़ीसा का तो बहुत गौरव है और इंडिया का भी है, और हम चाहिए तो इंडिया जीतेगा, जरूर जीतेगा इंडिया.
सर, फर्स्ट मैच अर्जेंटीना वर्सेस साउथ अफ्रीका, व्हिच टीम यू सपोर्ट?
अर्जेंटीना तो बेस्ट टीम है, तो अच्छा वाला टीम हॉकी में. अर्जेंटीना संभव माने पॉसिबल है जीतने के.
सर, क्या कहना चाहेंगे आज मैच बारे में?
नहीं, आज तो बहुत खुशी का दिन है, मगर उड़ीसा में सेकंड टाइम हो रहा है. इट इज अ प्राउड ऑफ आवर उड़ीसा, ऑल्सो इंडिया, एंड ऑल्सो आवर नवीन पटनायक सीएम. इनका जो चेष्टा है, वो चेष्टा में इधर एक चल रहा है सेकंड टाइम.
Alright, धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए दीपक. That is the environment outside of the stadium ahead of the World Cup starting today. So that is going to be exciting. The Hockey World Cup of 2023 starts today. We're going to get into a short break, but when we return, we'll bring you an interesting deep dive into what SIP accounts have looked like for the past year. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back. You're still tuned into Business Lunch, and let me now bring you some interesting data from the mutual fund space. We've all been talking about the steady SIP inflows over the past year, and there has been a good growth. The graph will also come up on your screen, and you can see all through 2020, we've seen it go up. In fact, for December of this year, of last year of 2022, that is, it was the third straight month that we saw an above 13,000 crore inflow coming through. But a closer look at the data will show you that things don't look quite as encouraging on the SIP account front. Okay, so for all of 2022, new account registrations were up 5.7%. So it came in at 2.57 crores. But the cancellation saw a big jump, and that came in at 1.36 crores. So if you look at all of this together, you will see while new registrations are up 5.7%, there's that sharp rise in cancellations at 36%. And with this, the net account addition is down 15% from the level that we saw in 2021. It's come in at 1.2 crores. Another important point to track is that the SIP cancel to register ratio, there has been a sharp jump there as well at 52.7%. That's for 2022 versus the 41% that we saw last year, that is in 2021. Now, this ratio was particularly high in the month of December. So it came in at 66%, which is actually a 25-month high level. In fact, for the past year, that is for 2022, if you look at it, this ratio has stayed above the 50% mark for 7 out of 12 months. So, while the SIP contribution looks good, there is definitely more to read within the data. So, do keep that in mind. And that is how the mutual fund data is really looking. But with that, we're going to wind down on this edition of Business Lunch. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Mid Cap Radar up in 2.